Vanita was 20 years old, a twin, but not treated like one. She lived in a small house with her mother and twin sister, Venice. Their father had died many years ago, and since then, everything changed. Her mother, Maria, was no longer the woman she used to be. She became bitter, angry, and full of complaints, but even in her bitterness, she had love. Only for Venice had learned how to survive by using her beauty. She went out with different men and always returned home with money, perfumes, and food. Her mother praised her, saying, "You're a smart girl, you know how to make life easier." But Vanita, she refused to live that kind of life. She wanted to go to school and become a nurse. She wanted to help the sick, not sell her body. Because of this, her mother hated her. Every day, you sit here like a log of wood. You want to go to school, but who will pay for you? Your mates are making money while you're dreaming. Maria shouted at her almost every day. The truth was that Vanita and Venice were both not in school. They had finished secondary school 2 years ago and were still struggling to gather money for college. But Venice had given up and decided to follow man. Vanita held on to her dream. One hot afternoon, Maria walked into the small house, her voice as sharp as a knife. "Vanita, take that basket and go to the farm. Bring back yams. Do you want us to die of hunger?" Vanita had just returned from fetching water. Her legs were sore and her back ached, but she knew better than to complain. "Yes, Ma," she said quietly and picked up the old basket. She walked slowly along the narrow bush path, wiping sweat from her forehead. The sun was hot and the ground was dry. Her heart was heavy. Her whole body was tired. Then suddenly she heard something. It was a soft groan, like someone was in pain. She paused. Her eyes scanned the bush beside the path. The sound came again. Curious and afraid, she stepped closer and gently pushed some branches aside. Her heart stopped for a second. A man was lying there, unconscious, dirty and bleeding. His clothes were torn and his face was bruised. He looked like he hadn't eaten in days. "Jesus," Vanita whispered, dropping her basket. She knelt beside him. "Sir, can you hear me?" No response. She touched his chest. He was still breathing, but very weak. He couldn't speak. His eyes were half open, but empty. Whoever he was dying. Vanita looked around. The bush was quiet. No one was in sight. She had no phone, no help. "I can't leave you here," she said to herself. With all the strength in her small body, she pulled his arm over her shoulder and started dragging him. It was not easy. She fell twice. Her knees were scratched. But she didn't stop. When she reached home, she checked carefully. Her mother and Venice were not yet back. She used the back door and pulled the man into her small room. She locked the door and laid him on her tiny foam mattress, and then she fetched water and gently cleaned his wounds. She tore a piece from her wrapper and wrapped the bleeding part of his arm. She poured a little water into his mouth. He coughed, but swallowed. "Who are you?" she whispered, sitting beside him. "Where did you come from?" The man didn't answer. He just lay there, eyes shut, breathing softly. She stared at him. He looked like someone important. His skin was soft. His hands were clean despite the wounds. As she covered him with her wrapper, she heard footsteps outside. Her heart skipped. Her mother and sister were back. Vanita quickly hid the water bowl and sat at the edge of the bed, pretending to sew her old skirt. The man remained quiet. She closed her eyes and whispered, "Please don't make a sound. Please don't die." Vanita sat quietly on the edge of her bed. The wounded man was lying beside her, still unconscious, covered with her wrapper. Her heart beat fast as she listened to the sound of her mother's slippers dragging across the dusty floor. "Vanita, you this witch, come out here now," her mother shouted from the kitchen. Vanita quickly stood up and stepped outside, trying not to show fear. Maria stood with her arms folded, eyes full of anger. "Where is my yum? Did you go to the farm or not?" Vanita swallowed hard. "Mummy, I was on my way, but some bad boys came out from the bush. They tried to kidnap me. I ran back home." Maria hissed loudly. "Story, you think I'm stupid? That mouth of yours will lead you into trouble one day. I'm telling the truth," Vanita said softly. "Shut up," Maria screamed. "Truth or lie? I didn't see yam. I didn't see you working. You will not eat in this house tonight. Go. And lick your lips." Vanita looked down. Her stomach was already empty, and now it would remain that way. "You think you are wise," her mother continued. "You're just like your useless father. Lazy people. Like father, like daughter." Vanita felt a sharp pain in her chest. She missed her father. He used to protect her from all this. But now even his name brought more insults. Marie pointed a long finger at her. "First thing tomorrow morning, you must go to that farm. I want a yam. And don't come back empty-handed. Do you hear me?" "Yes, Ma," Venita replied quietly. Maria hissed again and went into the kitchen, shouting for Venice. Venita slowly walked back to her room, tears filling her eyes. When she entered, the man was still lying there. His eyes were now half open. He looked at her weakly but didn't speak. "I told them you were not here," she whispered. "But tomorrow I have to go out again. Please, you must try and stay quiet. If they find you, I don't know what will happen." The man blinked once. Venita brought a small piece of leftover bread she'd hidden under her clothes earlier. She dipped it in water to make it soft, then placed it gently in his mouth. He chewed slowly, his lips trembled. You're safe now," she whispered. "I'll do my best for you, but you must not make any noise." That night, while Venice and their mother ate rice and laughed loudly in the sitting room, Venita stayed in her small room with the stranger, feeding him tiny pieces of bread and cleaning his wounds with water. Early the next morning, before the sun had fully risen, Venita quietly slipped out of bed. The man was still sleeping, his breathing now stronger. He touched his forehead gently. "No more fever." That made her smile a little. She whispered, "I'll be back soon. Please don't make a sound and don't try to leave." She carefully opened her door, checked that no one was nearby, and stepped outside. Venice and their mother were still asleep. It was the only peaceful time in the house. Venita carried the same old basket and began walking to the farm. Her body was weak, but her heart was stronger. She had to return with yams today or she would face another round of insults, or even worse. Meanwhile, back in her room, the man opened his eyes slowly. He looked around the small room with cracked walls, one wooden chair, and a worn-out mattress. He tried to sit up but winced in pain. His ribs still ached. He remembered nothing, only the image of trees crashing and the sound of fire. Everything else was a blur. Back at the farm, Venita bent down to dig up some yams. Her hands were shaking and her back hurt, but she kept working. She remembered her mother's words, "You're just like your useless father." Tears rolled down her cheeks, but she wiped them quickly. "No, I'm not useless," she told herself. "I'm just not like Venice, and that's not a crime." After harvesting 5 yams, she rested a little, then tied them in her basket and began to walk home. As she neared the house, she saw Venice standing at the gate, looking at her nails. "I see who's finally back," Venice said with a smirk. "Did the bush rats greet you today too?" Venita didn't reply. She just walked past her and entered the kitchen and dropped the yams. "Mama, Venita brought the yams!" Venice shouted, laughing. Their mother came out, tying her wrapper tightly. She looked at the yams and grunted. "Humph. At least today you didn't come back empty like your brain." Venita said nothing. "Go and sweep the compound after this, then wash the dishes and clean the toilet." "Lazy child," her mother added. "Yes, Ma," Venita said softly and walked into her room. She shut the door behind her and quickly turned to the man. He was awake, sitting up and staring at her with weak eyes. "Are you okay?" she asked in surprise. He nodded slowly. "Water, please." Her face lit up. She rushed to bring him water and helped him drink it. "You're getting better," she whispered. He nodded again. "Your name is Venita." She nodded, surprised that he remembered. "My name is Daniel," he said weakly. "Thank you for saving me." She smiled gently. "I couldn't leave you there. I didn't know who you were, but you looked like you were going to die." He tried to sit up more, but she placed a pillow behind his back. "You should rest. My mother and sister don't know you're here. If they find out," she paused, "they will chase you out or worse." He looked around the small room. "You live here? With them?" "Yes," she said, looking down. "It's not easy." Daniel was silent for a while. He saw the bruises on her hands, the tiredness on her face, the kindness in her voice. "You're different," he said softly. "Most people would walk away." Venita sat down beside the bed. "I'm not like most people. I know what pain feels like. That's why I can't ignore someone else's pain." Daniel looked at her and smiled. "I don't know who you are," she said gently, "but until you are strong again, this room is your home." 2 days passed. Venita was doing everything she could to hide Daniel and care for him. His strength was coming back, little by little. She made sure to keep her room locked whenever she stepped out. That morning, she told him, "I'm going to the market to buy foodstuff. I'll be back soon. Please don't make any sound. I'll lock the door properly." Daniel nodded. "Be careful." She smiled, locked her door, and left. While she was away, her mother, Maria, sat outside peeling yam when she suddenly turned to Venice and said, "That Venita, She's always indoors these days. What is she hiding? Go and check that room. Venice stood up and walked to Vanita's door. She turned the handle, lock. She knocked once. No answer. She looked around, then went back to her mother. Mummy, the door's locked. I tried, but it didn't open. Maria wiped her hands on her wrapper and hissed, we should break it open. I don't trust that girl. She may be hiding something. Venice nodded. Let's do it now. But Maria quickly shook her head. No, we can't. That's against the village rule. You don't break into someone's room unless there's fire or they are dying. If the village elders hear it, they'll fine us heavily or even send us away. We can't afford trouble. Venice folded her arms and sighed. So we just leave her like that? For now, Maria said, narrowing her eyes. But I'm watching her. An hour later, Vanita came back from the market, carrying a small bag. She went straight to her room. As soon as she locked the door behind her, she dropped the bag and rushed to Daniel. Are you okay? She asked. He nodded slowly. I'm fine, but something happened. She paused. What? While you were away, someone tried to open the door. I heard the handle move and they knocked too. Vanita's heart jumped. Did you hear the person's voice or see them? Daniel shook his head. Number I only heard moved me, but I didn't speak. I stayed quiet. He breathed deeply in relief. That must have been Venice. Venice, he asked. My twin sister, she said. We look exactly alike, same height, same face, same voice. If she stood here, you would know who is who. Even our mother sometimes mixes us up. Daniel raised his brows, surprised. You're twins? She nodded. Yes. Why didn't you tell me? She gave a small smile. It wasn't important. Daniel looked into her eyes and said softly, You're full of surprises. Vanita sat beside him and handed him a cup of water. He took it, drank, then cleared his throat. Vanita, he began, now that I'm getting better and your family is beginning to suspect something, I think I should go early tomorrow morning. Her face changed. No, you can't go yet. What if you collapse again? He reached out and held her hand. You've done more than enough. You saved my life, but I can't keep hiding here. It's risky for both of us. She lowered her eyes. So you'll leave? Yes, he said gently. But I promise you something. What? She whispered. I will come back for you. I like you so much, Vanita. You're not like other women I've met. You're kind. You're strong. You have a good heart. I'll come back with my family to reward you. And maybe more. Her eyes widened a little. She didn't know what to say. Daniel smiled. Please don't cry. This is not goodbye. It's just the beginning. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand and nodded. Okay, she whispered. I'll wait. The night felt longer than usual. Vina didn't sleep much. She kept waking up to check on Daniel. He was resting peacefully, but her heart was not. She knew he would leave in the morning. Part of her wanted to stop him, but the other part knew he was right. Very early, before the first cock crowed, Daniel sat up. Vanita, who had been lying near the door, heard him and sat up quickly. It's time, he said softly. She nodded slowly, blinking back tears. I packed some dry bread and Gary in his nylon, she said, handing him a small bag. It's not much, but it can help till you find help. Oh, Daniel looked at her with grateful eyes. You've done more than enough. I'll never forget you, Vanita. She helped him stand up. He was stronger now, though he still limped. She opened the back door slowly, making sure no one saw them. Follow this small path straight. It will lead you to the main road, she whispered. Be careful. And please don't forget me. Daniel looked into her eyes, held her hand tightly and said, I could never forget you. You're different, Vanita. I promise I'll return, and when I do, your life will never be the same again. She watched him walk slowly into the darkness until he disappeared behind the trees. Her chest ached, but she closed the door quietly and returned to her bed. She lay there, eyes wide open, wondering if she would ever see him again. By morning, everything in the house was as usual. Go and wash the bathroom, Maria shouted from the backyard. A lazy girl, you think your dreams will cook food? Venice added, laughing. Vanita didn't say a word. She obeyed every instruction, but her mind was not there. It was on the man who left before sunrise and the promise he made. Days passed, then weeks, but no word came from Daniel. She whispered, Where are you, Daniel? You said you'd come back. Unknown to Vanita, Daniel was battling for his life. The very morning he left her house, he didn't go far before he collapsed in the bush. His body was weak, his chest was tight, his head was hot. He tried to call for help, but his voice was gone. There was no one around. He closed his eyes, thinking that was the end, but a farmer walking home from his farm saw him lying on the ground. The farmer quickly called for help. A bike man came, and together they rushed Daniel to a nearby hospital in the city. At the hospital, the nurses ran to carry him inside. They put him on oxygen and took him into the emergency room. When the doctor finished examining him, he shook his head and said, "This man is lucky to still be alive." "Why?" the nurse asked. "He has internal bleeding," the doctor replied. "If he had not come when he did, he would have been gone by now." They rushed to work on him. He was given strong medicine, drips, and injections. For 2 days, he could not move. His eyes were closed most of the time. The pain was too much, but in his heart, he was still thinking about Vanita, the simple village girl who saved him. He remembered her soft voice, her gentle hands, and her quiet smile. He wanted to live, not just for himself, but to see her again. Every day, the doctor came to check on him. "You're getting stronger," the doctor said. "Just rest and eat well." Daniel nodded slowly. On the 4th day, while he was lying quietly on the bed, the door to his hospital room opened slowly. A tall, older man entered with worried eyes. It was Daniel's father. "Daniel!" he called softly. Daniel opened his eyes. Dead, his father rushed to his side and held his hand. "My son, we've been looking for you for days. No phone call, nothing. We were all so worried." Daniel's voice was weak. "It's a long story. Don't worry about that now," his father said, gently patting his chest. "Just focus on getting better." After a few moments of silence, Daniel spoke again. "Dad, there's something I need to tell you." "What is it?" his father asked, leaning closer. "Here's a girl. Her name is Vanita." "Vanita?" His father raised his eyebrows. "She saved me, found me in the bush, took me to her small room, fed me, cleaned my wounds, gave me water. She risked everything just to help a stranger." His father's eyes widened. "She did all that?" Daniel nodded slowly. "Yes, Dad, I want to go back and find her." His father held his hand tighter. "You have to get better first, my son. The doctor said you need 2 weeks for your body to heal well." "You almost died, Daniel. Please rest first. After that, we'll go and look for her. I promise," Daniel sighed. "Okay, Dad." Then he looked around and asked softly, "Where's Mom?" His father smiled. "She's fine." "I didn't want her to come here. Why?" "You know how emotional your mother is," his father said, chuckling. "She'll come here and start crying in front of everyone. We don't want that kind of drama here." Daniel smiled a little. "That woman is so dramatic." They both laughed quietly. Daniel felt warm inside, but he also knew something clearly now. As soon as he got better, he would go back for the girl who gave him a second chance at life. While Daniel was lying in a clean hospital bed, surrounded by nurses and love, Vanita was back home, still living like a stranger in her own house. Nothing had changed. Her mother was still shouting, her sister Venice was still bragging and laughing loudly about the money she made for men in the nearby town, and Vanita, she was still doing all the work. One morning, Maria called out from the kitchen. "Vanita, you this useless girl, come here!" Vanita rushed in. "Yes, Ma." "Where's the salt I asked you to buy yesterday? Did you eat it on the way or you gave it to one of those hungry boys like you?" Vanita swallowed hard. "I gave you the change and the salt." "It's in the black nylon in the corner," Maria hissed. "You lie too much, lazy, like your father." Venice walked in, chewing gum and laughing. Maybe her new friend ate the salt with her. We still don't know who she's been hiding in her room. Vanita's heart jumped. She quickly turned her face. Maria narrowed her eyes. "I've been thinking about that too. This girl has been acting strange since that day. She went to the farm and came back with no yam, and that time her door was locked." "I told you, Mama," Venny said. "She's hiding something. Maybe she's now seeing men too, but pretending to be holy." Vanita turned sharply. "That's not true. I'm not like you, Venice." Her mother's hand landed hard on her cheek. "You dare talk to your sister like that," Maria shouted. "I knew it. You're hiding something. Start talking now. Who was in your room that day?" Vanita held her cheek and stared at the ground. She couldn't tell him the truth. "I was just resting that day," she said softly. "I locked the door because I didn't want to be disturbed." Maria hissed again. "You think you're wise. No problem. From today, no more locking of doors in this house, you hear me?" "Yes, Ma." Vanita laughed and walked away. Vanita quickly wiped the tears from her eyes. She turned back to continue sweeping the floor. That night, as she lay on her mat, she looked up at the cracked ceiling. "God," she whispered, Please remember me. Please let Daniel be safe. Please let him come back. 2 weeks passed. Vanita was back to her normal life, waking up early, doing all the housework, and pretending like everything was fine. Every time she fetched water or walked past the bush path, she remembered him. How she found him lying weak, how she hid him in her room, how he promised to come back. Still, no sign of him. It had been 3 weeks now. That afternoon, Vanita went to visit her best friend, Stella. Stella lived 2 compounds away. They had been friends since childhood, but Vanita had not gone to see her in a while. So you remember me today, Stella said. Vanita smiled. I'm sorry, things have just been different. Stella looked at her closely. Tell me the truth. What's going on? Why haven't you been coming over? Vanita looked around and leaned closer. Stella, if I tell you something, promise you won't shout. Stella raised her eyebrow. No, you're scaring me. Talk, please. Vanita took a deep breath. I found a man. Stella's eyes widened. Wait, what? I saw a man in the bush, Vanita continued. He was dying. I brought him home, hid him in my room for days, and took care of him. Stella's mouth fell open. Jesus, and you didn't tell me? Me, your best friend? I couldn't, Vanita said softly. Everything happened so fast, and I was scared my mother and Venice would find out. Stella folded her arms. So this is why you stopped coming to my house. You were busy hiding men in your room. Vanita, I thought you were different. Vanita laughed and rolled her eyes. Shut up, you stupid girl. Who told you it's men I hid? I said men, not men. Stella burst into laughter. Well, I was just joking. She moved closer. So, is he fine? Is he handsome? Vanita smiled shyly. Yes, he's very handsome and kind. I really like him. Wait, like or love? Stella asked, teasing. Vanita dropped her head. I love him. I really do. Stella blinked. Wow, he told me he will come back for me, Vanita added, but it's been 3 weeks now. I haven't heard from him. I don't know what's happening. Maybe something happened to him. Or maybe he has forgotten me. Stella touched her arm gently. I don't think he has forgotten you. Some men are just slow. Then she smiled again and said jokingly, Madam, snap out of this love thing. Let's focus on how we'll get money to enter our nursing school. Vanita laughed. You're right. But as they both laughed and talked, deep down in Vanita's heart, a small prayer was rising. Please, God, let them come back. 5 days later, the sun was already hot when Vanita's mother, Maria, shouted her name. Vanita, take the cutlass and go to the farm. Today you must clear the land. Don't come back till evening. Vanita stepped out slowly, tired and weak. But Mama, I can't finish all that work alone, she said, her voice low. They don't care, Maria replied sharply. Finish everything. We must start planting by next week. Then let Venice join me, Vanita added. I can't be the only one doing all the farm work. Maria's face changed. So you comparing yourself to Venice? It's Venice that brings money into this house. She provides for us. You? What do you do? Vanita was angry now. What kind of mother are you? I haven't even eaten since yesterday, and you want me to go to the farm with an empty stomach, Maria hissed. I don't care. Go now, you lazy girl. Vanita wiped her tears and picked the cutlass and began the long walk to the farm, her stomach empty and her heart full of pain. 30 minutes later, a sleek black car drove quietly into the compound. Inside the house, Maria and Venice were chatting when they heard the sound. Venice peeked through the curtain. Mama, a car just parked in front. Maria stood quickly, a little afraid. Let me go and check. She walked out and met 2 well-dressed men standing beside the car. One was young and handsome. The other was older and calm. Good afternoon, Ma, the younger man said with a warm smile. My name is Daniel, and this is my father. Good afternoon, sirs, Maria replied, a bit confused. The young man spoke again. We came to see your daughter, Vanita. Maria's eyes widened, but she kept her cool. She saved my life when I was close to death. She found me in the bush and took me to your house. She hid me in her room for days and took care of me. If not for her, I would be dead by now. Maria's eyes widened in shock, but she quickly forced a smile. This foolish girl hid a man in my house and I didn't even know, she thought angrily. But outside she laughed sweetly. Ah, you are welcome, my handsome in-laws, she said with a wide smile. Please, come inside. She took them into the living room and offered them chairs to sit. Let me go and call Vanita for you, she said politely. But she didn't go to the farm. Instead, she rushed to Venice's room. Venice, she whispered sharply. That man Vanita was hiding is now here, and he's rich. We can't miss this opportunity. Venice's eyes widened. So what should we do? Maria looked serious. Since Venita's not around and you both look exactly the same, he won't know the difference. You must pretend to be her. Venice hesitated. What if he finds out? He won't, Maria said quickly. At least not today. Act sweet and gentle. Say yes to everything. Venice nodded slowly. I told you she was hiding someone in her room, Mama. You didn't believe me? That's not the issue now, Maria snapped. Go and dress like her, quick! Venice changed into a simple gown and walked into the sitting room, pretending to be Venita. Daniel stood up. Venita? She smiled and nodded. Yes, it's me. Daniel and his father greeted her warmly. You're really beautiful, Daniel's father said. And polite, too. Daniel smiled. My father and I are here because I want to marry you. If you agree, we would like to pay the bride price today. Before he could finish, Venice said yes. I agree. Daniel was surprised. Is strange, he thought. Venita was shy. She would never say yes so fast. But he didn't want to embarrass her, so he brushed it off. What about your twin sister? Daniel said, looking at Venice. Oh, she's now in school, Venice lied. But you'll meet her soon, my love. For the 10, Daniel smiled. All right. Maria quickly called the village elders. They came with joy. Soon, drinks were shared. The bride price was paid. Everyone was laughing and celebrating, but far away in the hot sun, the real Venita was still clearing the farm. With sweat pouring down her face, she didn't know her life was being stolen at home. Not too far away, Stella heard the news from a neighbor in the village. Did you hear? A man named Daniel is in Maria's house. He came to marry Venice, the neighbor said. Stella stopped walking. Wait, Daniel. Which Daniel? The rich one they said he came with his father? Stella's heart beat faster. Daniel? The same one Venita told me about. The one she hid in her room. She rushed straight to Maria's house. When she reached the gate, the noise and celebration had already started. She pulled Maria aside and asked, Mama, where is Venita? Maria smiled quickly. I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Stella asked, frowning. Has she gone to the market or the farm? Maria looked away. I don't know where she went. She didn't want Stella to run to the farm and call Venita. Stella looked at her suspiciously. Are you hiding something? Why would I hide anything? Maria said, pretending to laugh. Stella walked away, angry and confused. Something is not right. Daniel is here, but they say he came to marry Venice. Are these people playing tricks? She turned and said to herself, I must find Venita before it's too late. As she walked faster, her feet suddenly stopped. Then she gasped and whispered, The farm. She turned sharply and ran as fast as she could through the narrow path that led to the farmland. Her slippers hit the dusty ground hard, her skirt flying in the wind, sweat rolling down her forehead. And she didn't stop. She knew that was the only place Venita would likely be. As she got closer, she saw a slim figure bending over with a hoe in hand, tired and covered in sweat. It was Venita. Venita, Stella shouted, panting heavily. Venita! Venita dropped the hoe and turned around. Stella, what happened? Why are you running? Stella grabbed her arm, breathing hard. It's Daniel. He's here. He came to your house. Venita's eyes widened. Daniel, he came back. Stella nodded. Yes, with his father. But your mother didn't call you. She told them you were home, then went to call Venice. I think Venice pretended to be you. Venita staggered back a little. What? I'm telling you the truth, Stella cried. They paid the bride price. There was a small ceremony. Everyone in the village is talking about it. Came straight here. Venita's chest tightened. No, it can't be true. Let's go, Stella said, pulling her. Maybe we can still catch them. They both ran back toward the village.